because I believe there's a call in this to the Proverbs 31 woman. Just read a few of these scriptures. Verse 13, she looks for wool and flax and works with her hands in delight. She is like merchant ships. She brings her food from afar. Now, every characteristic of this woman, the ultimate woman as described by Scripture here in Proverbs 31, every aspect of it is she's a businesswoman. You think about this. She brings her food from afar. She buys wool and flax and all this. She's into commodities. She considers a field and buys it. So she's into real estate. From her earnings, she plants a vineyard. She's into farming. She stretches out her hands to the distaff, and her hands grasp the spindle. She makes coverings for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. She's into manufacturing. She makes linen garments and sells them and supplies belts to the tradesmen. She's into retail. Almost every aspect of business is covered here. I just submit to you the greatest business minds that I believe God has given us, you're going to find among women. It's right here. What does the man do? He goes and sits in the gates. Pretends to be important and make major decisions. Now, business is crucial. Business is basic human transactions. That's what it really is. And the ultimate business principle ever penned, ever written, ever spoken, the ultimate business principle we've been given in 1 Corinthians 13. How would you like to start a business? You know, failures among first-time startup businesses is 75% fail within the first year. Over 90% will fail within 2 years. But we have the ultimate business principle in 1 Corinthians 13, and it tells us if you use this, it will never fail. Love is the ultimate business principle. And it's applied every way you can apply it. You've got to love your product, love your service, whatever your business is. The business can't be your love. It's got to be what the business is for. It's got to be your passion. I have kids all the time telling me they want to go into business for themselves. I tell them, you're never going to make it. Why not? I said, if that's your ambition, if that's your vision, it's too shallow. I said, but if you'll fall in love and have a passion for a certain product or a certain purpose, a service or whatever, I said, build your business on that passion, you've got a real chance to do something. Love, living waters come out of the innermost being. The life that God has given to flow through us has got to come from our heart, our innermost being. So what's your passion? Business itself is a means, it's not an end. It's like a musician. When kids tell me they want to be a professional musician, I say, you can't make it like that. But if you'll fall in love with a specific instrument, and then it becomes your passion. You just play it every chance you get. You just love this thing. You'll practice hours a day because you love it so much. You've got a chance. Love never fails. Then you've got to apply it by loving your customers. You would always treat them fairly. You've got to love your employees too. You've got to balance it with love for your family and your employees, which means you've got to make a profit to pay people. But you're not going to go overboard. You're not going to be greedy. You're not going to operate that way. I remember when I used to trade stocks all the time. I was doing day trading, and I loved it. I was making so much money. I had major winners. I mean, I made over 1,500% on one investment over a year, and I was just going for it. And I just prided myself in selling at the absolute high just before a stock tanked, and just wringing every bit of profit out of it. I was just thanking the Lord for making me so smart. And he said, "You're an unrighteous trader." I said, "What's the matter? I'm winning." He said, "You're not leaving the gleanings in the field. I commanded my people to leave gleanings in the field." When you sell a stock at the absolute height, you're not leaving any room for the next person to make anything. They're going to lose. And that's not righteous. I don't mind you making something, but you should have a vision for selling it to somebody that is still going to do well with it. And sell it to them in a time and at a price where they can still do well in it. You've got to love those you're selling it to. Do you get what I'm saying? What would happen to the business that applied all these basic principles? 1 Corinthians 13. I think it could never fail. It would never fail. I think the world would be beating a path to your door to do business with you. We've tried to just maintain a thing within the ministry. We always pay the full price for real estate and things. Or I should say we pay what is a fair price. It says swear to your own hurt, which means when you make a deal, you be sure that the other person's getting a good deal, even if you have to hurt a little. And I felt like, the way the Lord showed me this, we can open the doors even to the spirit of poverty into our own lives by not being righteous in our transactions. King David said, "I will pay the full price." Now, there's some people that ask full prices that are not realistic. I'm not going to pay that, but I want to get it to what is really the right price. And in our ministry transactions, that's what we try to do. We don't want to beat people down. We want to give them the fair price. I think we should do that in everything. Now, there's a new order of Lydia. I've been sharing this for years. There's a new order of Lydia that is going to emerge. I like to share it briefly in every women's conference, hoping that maybe there's some here that would hear and really raise this up. But Lydia in Acts 16, 14, 15, it says, "And a certain woman named Lydia from the city of Thyatira, a seller of purple fabrics, a worshiper of God, was listening, and the Lord opened her heart and responded to the things spoken by Paul. And when she and her household had been baptized, she urged us, saying, 'If you judged me to be faithful to the Lord, come into my house and stay.' And she prevailed upon us." But anyway, she was the very first convert from Asia. She was a businesswoman and a worshiper of God. And when Paul and Silas, the story, how they ended up in prison. But when they went out of the prison, it says they entered the house of Lydia. And when they saw the brethren, they encouraged them and departed. But I tell you, there is an order of Lydia that is going to be raised up, I believe, among business women. And they're going to be, I think, not only great business people, but also believe they're going to be listening to God. They're going to be hearing God. They're going to be responsive to Him because they're worshipers of God. It's an unbeatable combination. And they were there. They were the main ones who helped the apostles there open the door of the gospel to Asia. Of course, that's where the 7 churches in Revelation were all raised up. But I'm just saying, somebody's going to hear the call. And there is an order of Lydia in these times. One of the things the harvest is the reaping or the full maturity of all the seeds that have been sown come into full maturity. Everything written in the scripture, these are seeds that have been planted. They're going to come to full maturity in this time. I believe we're not going to have one Lydia like that. We're going to have thousands upon thousands. We're going to have of the best of the seeds that have been sown. They're going to come forth in these times. That's what we're here for. You are here. God chose you, knowing you before the foundation of the world, to live in this time and to see the harvest, to see the full maturity.